welcome everybody back to another episode of the Transition Plan, your go-to podcast for transgender history. As always, I'm your host, Mari. And it is an absolute pleasure to be back here with you all today on this lovely Sunday. This is the last episode of season 6. I know a lot of y'all probably asking me, like, Mari, why would you make these seasons so short? I mean, the goal of my podcast is to be concise, yes, comprehensive. But the benefit about what I do is that I can easily have a quick turnaround time for y'all to get y'all season 7. So, although season 6 does come to an end, season 7 is already in development and production to get released as soon as I get off vacation. So, my anticipated date to give y'all season 7 is September 29th. Now, depending on how I feel after vacation, depending on how lit I get, or how tired I am, it may be October 6th. So, I technically be gone for about 2.5-ish, 3 weeks. So that's why that date is kind of pushed back out so far in September. Because I'm leaving the second week of September and kind of really going to be gone until really the last week of September. So, that's why I say my anticipated date to get y'all season 7's first episode will be either September 29th or October 6th. So stay tuned for that. I will be promoting, because I will have actually time to do it while I'm on vacation, to give y'all more information about season 7, what to expect and stuff like that via my social media accounts. So if you have not followed us already on Instagram and Twitter, I highly recommend. The problem is I'm going to have y'all listen to this whole episode first before I give y'all the handle. But season 7 will be right around the corner so that you don't have to wait too long, because I know how my schedule can be. So stay tuned for that. The other thing I want to note is that I would love to get feedback from you all as my listeners. In this episode's description, there's a link in it. And I would love for you all to sign up for the newsletter, because I want to send out a form to get feedback from all of my listeners, or as many listeners as I can. I want to make this podcast great for you all. I want it to be easy to retain. I want it to be fun, except for obviously our sad episodes. I want it to be educational. So I would love to get feedback from you all. I do take criticism well. So whatever you have in mind, whether it's good or bad, maybe even neutral, I would love to hear it. I really would. So sign up for a newsletter. I'll send it out within the next couple of weeks or days. Just get your feedback, and then I'll improve as our seasons continue to increase. So I want to thank you now when you fill out that paper. I think that's all of my announcements for you all today. So if it is, welcome to all my listeners here today for checking out this brand new episode. If you are brand new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the Transition Plan podcast. Just to let you know, our podcast is not just about history, but it serves as a platform for education, provide you with insights surrounding transgender history and, the issues faced by the transgender community as well. So my goal is to aim to inspire understanding, promote inclusivity, and spark conversations about the transgender community with this expert knowledge and resources for further learning. Each episode of our podcast is intentionally designed to be concise yet comprehensive, with a duration of about 15 to 20 minutes. So, give you something to start with. And then, of course, you can learn more at your own time, which is really what a job of an educator really is. So welcome to my brand new listeners. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, of course. And also, too, if you do like it, don't forget to follow, subscribe, whatever streaming platform you do use to get our notifications for whenever new episodes do drop. Thank you. To my returning listeners, I would love to always thank you all so much for continuing to support the podcast. As I say every week, because of you all, metrics continue to go up. We have a lot of consistency as well. So that means you all love what you're hearing, which means I'm doing a good job. So I greatly appreciate it for you all giving me love. I love you all back just as much as you love me. Not because obviously you're giving me, some listenings. I don't, like I said, do this for money. I just love to just share the knowledge that I find. So it's a good thing that you all are sharing the same love back to me, and I greatly appreciate that. So thank you for supporting the podcast. Truly. All right, today we're gonna be really talking about a individual who I hope most of you all know, and if not, totally fine. This is what this podcast is for. But I want to talk about this individual's journey and how they left a remarkable mark on transgender history in the 19th century. And today we'll be talking about William Dorsey Swann. Now, I love William. If you've never read the book Black on Both Sides, William is actually the cover art on that book. If you do decide to read that book, I highly recommend getting Audible because it is I would consider it to be advanced level writing and also reading. So get Audible. It's a lot of big words in there. um and I think Audible will help you take that journey a lot nicer. But that William is on the cover art of that book. If you've never seen it or read it before, I highly recommend the book as well. Um, but yeah, I just want to throw that little quick note out there. But William, born in Maryland around 1858, entered the world as one of 13 children in an enslaved family. Despite the harsh realities of slavery, the Swann family found strength in unity, often coming together for celebrations that offered moments of joy amidst their hardships. These gatherings that they did, filled with music, dance, and shared stories, became a crucial lifeline in the years of the Civil War. It was through these experiences that Swann developed his deep rooted values of community and resilience, traits that would define his future endeavors, actually. In the aftermath of the war, as the nation grappled with Reconstruction, Swann shouldered the responsibility of supporting his family. Now, his unwavering dedication to his loved ones showcased maturity beyond his years. So, in 1880, seeking new opportunities and a fresh start, Swann made the pivotal decision to relocate to Washington, D.C. There, he ended up actually securing employment. He was actually a janitor, a position that, while humble, provided stability and allowed him to support his family. Determined to improve his circumstances, Swann also devoted himself to learning how to read, write, and skills that were often denied to enslaved individuals at that time. Now, his employers, impressed by his strong work ethic and moral character, frequently praised Swann's reliability and his admirable commitment to assisting his relatives. Upon settling in the nation's capital, Swann found himself in a vibrant and complex social landscape. And despite the oppressive societal norms and legal restrictions of the 1880s, he courageously sought connections with other young Black men who shared his desire for same-sex relationships. And these connections, formed in the face of significant risks and societal taboos, lay actually the groundwork for what will become a tight-knit community that I'll mention momentarily. It was within this context that Swann began to explore and express his identity more openly, setting the stage for his future role as a pioneer in LGBTQ plus history. So as we continue in the 1880s, Swann was actually making waves in a way that would ripple through history. He began hosting what we now recognize as the first documented drag balls in American history. Let me say that one more time. Swann began hosting what we now recognize as the first documented drag balls in American history. Now, of course, let's be clear, these weren't just parties. Drag balls aren't just parties. These are really sanctuaries of self-expression in an era when gender nonconformity wasn't just frowned upon, right? It was actively being persecuted. And Swan was creating a haven where people could truly be themselves, a radical act of defiance against the oppressive norms of the time. Now, if you want, follow me for this visual real quick. If you've never been to a ball before, one, highly recommend. I've been to a ball, and the very first ball that I went to was actually one I also performed in or walked in. Um, Unplanned, because I wasn't planning on walking in the ball. It was actually a fashion show that turned into a ball after the fashion show ended. So somebody had picked out of me and was just like, "Hey, you like your outfit? They got a category for this ball. You should walk in it." And I was extremely nervous. Don't recommend for myself personally, but if you love balls and you want to walk in the ball, highly recommend it. But we're talking about a secret location where really, yeah, like for me, my heart was pounding. It was a mix of excitement, but also nerves. But as you really step inside of a ball, you're really greeted with a breathtaking sight. Um, think about like vibrant, living range of identities, kind of like a rainbow, right? And the room is really filled with people adorned in the most exquisite women's finery, the sharpest men's suits, just all around gorgeous attire. All moving really in a harmony that uh, follows the rhythm of the music that's currently playing at that time or at that moment. Really, I would say like being at a drag ball is the the air is really just electric and filled with joy and freedom. At least the ones I've been to. I'm assuming more. I'm assuming they're all or not a good 85-90% are like that. Um, but at the heart, really, of these gatherings was the cakewalk, which is a dance competition with roots stretching really back to the plantation era. So, in Swan's hands, this dance transformed into something truly magical. And it became a joyous celebration of freedom and identity, a way for people to express themselves fully and without fear. So, this wasn't just dancing, it was a declaration of existence, of worth, and of humanity. Now, Swan's innovative spirit didn't stop there. Drawing inspiration from the Queens of Freedom, quote unquote, crowned at Washington's Emancipation Day parades, he introduced a new tradition that would change the course of LGBTQ plus history. The winners of his dance competitions were crowned as the quote unquote queen of the ball. And in a move that was both daring and defining, Swan even adopted the title for himself, thus becoming what many historians now consider to be the first self proclaimed drag queen in American history as well. We're taking two titles right now, y'all. We take first documented drag balls plus the self proclaimed drag queen in American history. Come on, man. That's just wow. Um, and this wasn't just about winning a competition for Swan. It was about claiming an identity, about standing proud in the face of a world that sought to erase people like him and like us. But make no mistake, Swan's journey was far from a smooth one. Right? The 1880s saw a rising tide of oppression, with new laws explicitly banning cross dressing at this time. And I think I mentioned this in the previous episode before as well about at this time of the era for another story that happened around the same time and how cross dressing was also banned. Um, so if you think about it, Swan's balls became targets, right? Frequently raided by the police who sought to stamp out basically this vibrant expression of identity. Those who participated risked everything: arrest, public humiliation, and even jail sentences that range between 3 to 10 months. So the threat was constant, and the danger obviously was real. Yet, in the face of this relentless persecution, Swan's spirit remained unbroken. If anything, the oppression only really seemed to strengthen his resolve. Um, in particular, for Swan's story, there was one incident that truly encapsulates Swann's character and commitment to his community. It was a police raid in 1888 April. Swann really did stand there and watch. He actually physically fought officers at the door, preventing their entry long enough for others to escape through windows at the event that they were hosting one of their balls. And if you think about the courage it takes to do that, this wasn't just an act of defiance. It was actually a very powerful statement of protection for his community and a refusal to bow to oppression. And in that moment, Swann wasn't just hosting a party. He was standing on the front lines of a battle for human rights. Just like our sisters do, all of our Black trans sisters have done for us for a very long time. But the impact of Swann's courage and creativity on transgender history obviously cannot be overstated. We're talking about an era when the term transgender still didn't exist at this time. Yet here was Swann, carving out really a space that celebrated non-normative gender identities. And his balls weren't just social gatherings. They were the seeds from which the vibrant ballroom culture today would grow. And this culture has become a cornerstone of LGBTQ plus community and activism, and a testament to the enduring power of Swann's vision. But to really truly appreciate Swann's story, we need to understand that it's more than just a chapter in LGBTQ plus history. It's intricately woven into into the broad tapestry of Black emancipation and civil rights. His events weren't just challenging, gender norms. They were acts of resistance against the racial oppression that pervaded post-Civil War America. And in every sequence, every dance step, every crown queen, there was a declaration of freedom and dignity behind it. Swann wasn't just fighting for gender expression. He was also fighting for the right of Black Americans to exist freely and joyfully in a society that sought to constrain them. Another groundbreaking moment in Swann's life came in 1896. After being sentenced to 10 months in jail for quote unquote keeping a disorderly house, a thinly violent attack on his gathering, Swann took an unprecedented step, right? He petitioned President Governor Cleveland for a pardon, potentially becoming the first American to take legal action in defense of LGBTQ plus rights. Now, while the pardon was ultimately denied, as you could guess, the audacity of this act actually laid a foundation for future LGBTQ plus activism. And it was a declaration that the rights of gender nonconforming individuals were worth fighting for, even at the highest level of government, which we still see today. Not surprisingly, but we do. So Swann's legacy extends far beyond his lifetime, rippling through the decades to touch us in even today, right? He has a younger brother by the name of Daniel J. Swann, who continued the family tradition, providing costumes for the Washington drag community for nearly 5 decades after William's retirement. And this wasn't just about keeping a business going. It was really about maintaining a lifeline for a community that desperately needed it. And at the structure of Swann's gatherings, chosen families, led by queens and mothers who officiated at beauty and dance competitions, is still reflected in the houses of the 21st century ballroom culture. As I mentioned, Swann didn't just host parties. He created a template for community and belonging that continues to provide support and affirmation for LGBTQ plus individuals today. So as we reflect on William Dorsey Swann's life, we're reminded of the power of resilience, the importance of community, and the enduring impact of those who dare to live authentically in the face of oppression. His story challenges us to rethink the history of the LGBTQ plus rights movement, where it began, where it came from, and who its leaders were. So Swann's life serves as a powerful reminder that the struggle for LGBTQ plus rights has deep historical roots, nurtured by the bravery of individuals who refuse to conform to societal expectations. So as we conclude our journey through this chapter of history, I would like to continue to carry forward the spirit of William Dorsey Swann, a spirit of defiance, creativity, and unwavering commitment to authenticity, my apologies, and community. His legacy continues to inspire and empower, reminding us of the profound impact one individual can have on the course of history. And remember, in every drag ball, every pride parade, and every fight for LGBTQ plus rights, we see echoes of Swann's courage and vision. So with that, I would like to thank you all so much for joining us today. Here on the Trans Plan podcast. It is a pleasure that you all got to listen to this amazing story of William Dorsey Swann. As I mentioned before, if you want to see a picture, obviously you can just Google it. But I also recommend buying the book Black on Both Sides as well. Audible. Don't forget to get Audible when you get it. I think it's only probably like $13, so it's not too expensive. But I highly recommend getting the book for sure. It talks about a little bit of the life in there in that book as well, and just kind of talking about what it was like to be Black and trans and or gender non-conforming during a time when a lot of people didn't talk about it, obviously. But it just gives a little bit of backstory about what it was like to be Black and queer during this time frame. If you haven't already, please go ahead, follow, subscribe, or whatever social streaming platform that you're using to get notification whenever we drop new episodes here. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Trans Lesson Plan. If you want to follow me, the host Mari, you can follow me at mariiiwrld. That is MAR3ISWRLD. If you haven't done so already, tell a friend, family member, ally, teacher, librarian, I don't know. It depends on who you want to tell about this podcast if they would love to learn more about transgender history. And I cannot wait to see y'all in the next couple of weeks. I'm going on vacation. I'm going to have a good time. Yeah, I'm going to go have a good time. So I appreciate you all for sticking with me through season 6. Season 7 will be coming very, very soon. I will, like I said, be updating my social media during the time since I'll be on vacation. So look there for updates regarding season 7 and just any additional posts that I do have as well. I greatly appreciate you all. I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.